Hello guys, this is Quad, and today I'm bringing you another build video from patch 2.3, and this is Feast of Heaven's Paladin. It deals a lot of lightning damage to a single target and a lot of holy damage to the undead, or this is magic damage. Obviously we pump up synergies, which is Holy Bolt and Holy Shock, and then in the offensive auras we also max Conviction. In the combat skills we also took 1 point into Holy Shield because it's just 1 point wonder, provides a lot of block and defense. As for the stats, as usually we have enough strength and dexterity to equip and everything else is in vitality. This character doesn't have issues with resistances, almost never, and also has 105 FCR, which is a bit overkill, but with a casting delay of the Feast of Heaven you don't really want to have 125, I don't think it's really reasonable. As for the gear, the usual stuff: Mage Fist, Heart of the Oak, Griffin's Eye for the better lightning damage of the Feast of Heaven, for those immunes, Enigma, Mara, Herald of Zakarum, some boots, Bullcathus, Arachnid, and Stone of Jordan. The charms are resistances, but you don't really need them so much. And the Mercenary is a Holy Freeze with an insight for the mana issues, because Feast of Heaven costs 25 mana and we only have 250, maybe with battle orders something around 350. Crown of Ages and Treachery for the survivability, but this is suboptimal, you can definitely use some other things like Kira's Guardian. And as for the farming spots, as I already said, this build has a single target lightning damage and then mass AoE holy or magic damage with holy bolts. This means that we will deal a lot of damage to the undead and only single target damage to living creatures. That basically means that we are going to live in the places that are full with undeads, or at least half of the monsters are undeads, and better if the 3/4 are the undead enemies. These areas naturally being the Mausoleum that you can see right now, it's in the Act 1. All the enemies here are the undead, and despite them having the lightning immunity, it doesn't really affect us as much, as we literally kill everything with one cast of the Feast of Heaven. This is really nice build for the undead. Unfortunately it doesn't do anything to any other monsters as much as you want to, but again, your Mercenary and Conviction with a single target damage usually would deal with the immunities. Another really great spot for this build to farm is the Arcane Sanctuary. Ghosts are undead, so this is your build to farm high runes here. Super easy, just look at this. Everything dies in 1 or 2 casts. This is really nice. So this is one of the main advantages of the build, that it can farm usually in the areas that are not so cool for other builds, but obviously it's not as great as maybe some other meta builds. Also, for example, you can farm Summoner this way, and of course Countess as well, and later on I will show a new attack as well. What are the main advantages of this build? It has nice skill in terms of targeting. You actually don't need to target, only in some cases where you need to kill the immunes or the allied boss pack, so then you need to target on it. And for example, also you can of course farm Pindle with it because he's an undead and everything dies really quick. So one of the main disadvantage is, well, the advantage of this build. So it can only mass clear undead areas, and they are not so many in the game. Usually it's always a mix, so it's a little bit of a pain. For Nihiltak, for example, he turned lightning immune here, I didn't notice, but you just lock up mouse on him and that's it. Since you don't kill anything else, you don't need to worry about corpse explosions. So here easily you farm keys, and this is your early currency in the game. And one of the areas where this build excelled in the beginning and also in the past, before actually this patch, is the Ancient Tunnels. Again, area level 85. Only 1 out of 4 monsters here is actually living, so those infidels or invaders, so those will need to be taken care either by the Feast of Heaven itself or your Mercenary. But otherwise everything else dies really quickly. Just look at this disco here. Really nice. It's very satisfying, looks very beautiful. And the second disadvantage, which I really hope that devs will look into it, is actually that you cannot pick up anything with this build. It's really hard when there are enemies nearby and you do a left click where you have the Feast of Heaven. Paladin starts to cast Feast of Heaven instead of picking up the item. So this could be a little bit tedious at times, but generally it's not such a big deal. So I would say this build is cool, flavorful, and now has even more damage to farm areas with the undead density. Of course, again, it's not your new Hammerdin or anything close like this, but new flavor, new build, and ability to explore, optimize, and farm specific areas. Stony Tombs here also super easy, everything dies, lots of undeads, basically they have no chance. Another good advantage of this build is that it actually is not expensive at all. You don't really need that Griffons because Mercenary with Allied inside can deal with the immunities. You don't rely on that lightning damage so much. Quite easy from the beginning already to start dealing good damage and basically building up your character. And with the majority of the places that I showed here being easily farmable even without Enigma. Except maybe Arcane Sanctuary where you can get stuck. But maybe if you have a nudged puzzler on a swap, that shouldn't be a big problem. So again, I think it's a quite cool build for the Paladin, a new one that you can now optimize a little bit for different occasions and farm quite a few areas. And it feels really great, it plays nice. Definitely check out my other builds with the Martial Arts Assassin, Cold Sork and Raven's Druid, those are cool too as well. See you next time, thank you.